Hey everybody, David here, and this is another Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition class breakdowns, and this is involving the Cleric baseline class features. Now, we all know that the Cleric is the life of the party, but in 5th edition, it has brought so much more diversity to the actual Cleric class itself, and it just depends on the divine domain that you choose. Your Cleric could literally be, a part magic user, it can be part frontline fighter, it can be, a pure healer, it can be so many things. That's the good thing about 5th edition and the Cleric. There are so many divine domains to choose from. So, the Cleric, there's not really any races that give you a +2 wisdom bonus, but you could go with something like maybe a hill dwarf. It has a wisdom bonus, possibly the wood elf, also the half elf, and in the Dungeon Master's Guide there is the race that they created as an example, the Aasimar. So you could actually play one of those as a cleric. Now, take into consideration though, it's ultimately up to you what you want to play for your race. So because you're the one playing a character, you're the one that's going to have the fun. So you don't have to try to min-max it. Just play whatever race you really want. So the class features of the Cleric, they get 1d8 hit points a level. When you start at first level, you're going to start at the maximum of 8 plus your Constitution modifier. And every level after 1, which you can see that the level cap does go to level 20 in 5e, you can do one of two things. You can roll a 1d8, or if your Dungeon Master allows you to take the static 5, you can do that as well. But some Dungeon Masters just like you to, roll a 1d8. And don't forget to add your Constitution modifier. Proficiencies for the Cleric, pretty straightforward like the other editions. You get light armor, medium armor, and shields. All simple weapons. You get no tool proficiencies. Your saving throw proficiencies are wisdom and charisma. And you get to choose 2 skills from history, insight, medicine, persuasion, and religion. Now, also when you choose your background, you're going to get several more skills. So you may want to plan ahead of time between the skills that you're going to get for your background and then choose from your Cleric baseline. Starting equipment, you can do one of two things. You can take a flat 5d4 times 10 for your money, but then you are responsible for buying all of your weapons, your equipment, your armor. Or you can go with the starting option feature that we have here for equipment, where it'll basically give you a weapon, a suit of armor, and also your background will give you your equipment and also a little bit of starting money, and possibly like a toolkit or something like that. That's if you choose that particular background. So now, as you can see, like I said, goes up to level 20, so you're going to have a proficiency bonus. Your proficiency bonus is pretty much universal for every class in D&D 5e, and it starts with a 2. And your proficiency bonus is used in many things. It is used for your 2-hit, for your melee to hit. That's if you're proficient. It also acts as a spellcasting modifier for both your spell save DC and your spell to attack. And it will scale as you level 5, level 9, up to a maximum of level +6 at level 17. Now you get a multitude of features, and you get features pretty much just about every level. And you'll also get more when you choose your divine domain, which, unlike the other classes, they will get their archetype at level 2 or level 3. But the Cleric is the exception. They get theirs at level 1, which is really nice. You can see that the Cleric also gets spell class. They get class spellcasting, and they get cantrips, and they will cast spells from level 1 to 9. And by the time you're a higher level, you'll have a whole arsenal of spells of every spell level. So we're going to go into the spell casting right now for the cleric. So like I said, first off, you're going to get cantrips, and the cantrips, you get to choose 3 cantrips of your choice from the cleric spell list, and you will learn additional cleric cantrips of your choice at higher levels as shown on the cantrips column of the cleric table. So as you can see, you're going to start with 3 and it goes up to 5. Now here is the list of cleric cantrips. You'll have a choice between 7 here. Now next up, you're going to have cleric spellcasting, and this is the mechanics of your spell. So it is a traditional type of casting class. So you are going to have a daily pool of spells that you cast from. So when you prepare your daily list of spells, you don't have to have a spell book like the wizard. You just pray to your deity. And when you every day after you get a long rest, you choose your pool of spells, and this is equal, the amount of spells is your wisdom modifier plus your cleric level with a minimum of 1 spell. And the spells that they have to be for the level of which you can cast spell slots for. Pretty straightforward. And just take into consideration, you can always change spells every time you get like a long rest. Now, wisdom is your primary stat for the cleric. So wisdom is your primary stat for your spellcasting abilities also. So you can see that your spell save DC, the spell save DC is the target number that you have set for your character if you cast something that has a target make a saving throw. So that target that you cast on will have to make their saving throw depending on what your spell save DC is. So the formula for your spell save DC is a base of 8 plus your proficiency bonus and your wisdom modifier. So basically your spell save DC will go up because your proficiency bonus is going to go up by default, and once you pump ability score improvement points into wisdom to max it out at 20, that will also raise it up. Now your spell attack modifier works the opposite. This is when you actually have to cast a spell, and it's like swinging a weapon, but you're not swinging a weapon. You're having to use your spell attack modifier as your attack. So this works without the base of 8. This is just your proficiency bonus plus your wisdom modifier. And that would be things, maybe a cantrip or other spells. Now, clerics also get ritual casting. And ritual casting, if a spell is labeled as a ritual, you can cast that without expending a spell slot. But if you decide to cast that spell as a ritual, then it takes a total time of 10 minutes plus the cast time. So if it's a 1-action spell, it would take 10 minutes in 1 action. That's to be technical, but it does take 10 minutes to cast something as a ritual. Now, you also get spellcasting focus, which for the cleric is a holy symbol found in Chapter 5 in the equipment. And what a spellcasting focus does is this: it does not give you any kind of bonus to hit, to damage, unless possibly you find a magical one. But what a spellcasting focus does is it basically satisfies any small components that you have, maybe bat guano or a witch's eyebrow for your spells. Now, the spellcasting focus does not satisfy any kind of component that has a monetary type of value. Say, for, I believe it is identify, you have to have a 100 gold piece diamond. Or if you're going to resurrect someone, you have to have different levels depending on what type of resurrection you want to do. Then you would have to have like 1,000, 10,000, or 25,000 gold piece item. So, spellcasting focus, it will satisfy the base components of a spell. And if you decide not to use the spellcasting focus, just make sure that you have a spellcasting components pouch, and you can also get that in the equipment section in Chapter 5 too. So that's basically everything that has to do with spellcasting and the cleric. Now, back to the baseline cleric, like I said, you're going to get a multitude of things from level 1 to 20. I mean, there's just so many things to choose from. Now, next we're going to talk about at level 1, you also get your divine domain. And like I mentioned earlier, it's the rare exception to where for the cleric, you'll be able to choose different styles of a cleric. So you could be a knowledge cleric, a life cleric, a light cleric, a nature cleric, a tempest cleric, trickery, or war. And basically, those are different flavors. Like the trickery would give you some rogue-based type stuff. The war cleric would give you some melee type of features. Nature, more based on nature and druidic. Tempest is more lightning. Light is like evocation, wizard stuff. Life is pure healing. So these are all archetypes in the player's handbook. Now the basic free PDF, it only has the life cleric. So if you want to play any of the others, then you're going to have to pick up the player's handbook. One other note, on page 96 in the Dungeon Master's Guide, there is an evil cleric, and it is the death domain. So if you're going to play in an evil game, the death domain is a great archetype for the cleric. So whenever you choose your domain at level 1, you're going to get features at level 1. You'll gain a Channel Divinity feature at 2, and then you'll also gain benefits at 6, 8, and 17. And don't forget domain spells. Domain spells are very important. Every domain that you choose, whatever cleric domain you choose, has a list. And we'll go over each one of these lists in subsequent videos for the archetypes. Now, the domain spells do not count for your memorized pool of spells, and I'll explain that later on. So domain spells, you'll also get features at level 1, level 2, you'll get your Channel Divinity, and in 6, 8, and 17. Now, at level 2, you are going to get Channel Divinity. And this is where you gain the ability to channel divine energy directly from your deity, using that energy to fuel magical effects. You start with 2 such effects, Turn Undead, and an effect determined by your domain. Some domains grant you additional effects as you advance in levels, as noted in the domain description. So when you use Channel Divinity, you choose which effect you want to create out of the 2 or 3 that you have. And then once you finish a short or long rest, you can use your Channel Divinity again. So it's not like you can just keep using Channel Divinity over and over every turn. You can just use it once or twice, or as you level, you'll be able to use Channel Divinity a little more. Take into consideration, some Channel Divinity effects will require saving throws, and like we've already gone over, your saving throw will be based on your 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your wisdom modifier. Now, here it talks about when you hit level 6, you're going to be able to use Channel Divinity twice between rest, and then when you're level 18, then you can use it 3 times between a rest. Really nice. Now, here's what you get for being baseline cleric. This is Turn Undead. So, as an action, you present your holy symbol and speak a prayer censoring the undead. Each undead that can see or hear you within 30 feet of you must make a wisdom-based saving throw. So they'll have to make a wisdom saving throw versus your versus your spell DC. Now, if that creature fails its wisdom saving throw, it is turned for 1 minute or until it takes any damage. So that's the key word. It's turned for 1 minute, and it's turned until it takes any damage. Now, a turn creature must spend its turn trying to move as far away from you as it can, and it cannot willingly move to a space within 30 feet of you. So it has to keep going farther and further away from you. Now, and it also cannot take reaction, so it cannot take, an opportunity attack. Now, for its actions, it can only use the dash action to try to escape, because you did turn it, and it is now, it's fearing you. So, you are fearing it, so it is trying to run from you. So it will dash and try to get away. Now, also, if you're in a small room, if there's nowhere else for that creature to go, that creature will use the dodge action, which will give any attacker disadvantage attacking it. So that's Channel Divinity. You're going to get that at level 2. Now, level 4, you get the Cleric ability score improvement. And you're going to get a total of 5 of these. You're going to get one at level 4, you're going to get one at level 8, you're going to get one at level 12, you're going to get one at 16 and 19. And what the Cleric ability score improvement does, it does 2 things. Well, you can do 2 things with it. You can put 2 points into one ability score. So, for example, if you have an 18 wisdom, you can take that 18 and turn it into a 20. Or if you have 2 ability scores that you want to raise by 1, you can do so. Example is you could take your wisdom from 19 to 20, and then you can take your constitution or your charisma from 17 to 18. So you can do that. So you can put 2 points into one stat or put 1 point into 2 different stats. Now, take into consideration you cannot go above 20. So if you've already got a 20, you can't go any higher than that. That's just the rules. Now, if your Dungeon Master allows you, in Chapter 6 in the Player's Handbook, there are optional features. You can, if you want to, and if your Dungeon Master, if he or she allows it, you can forego taking your ability score improvement, and you can take a feat. And a feat, there are quite a few pages of feats in the Player's Handbook. So just remember, if you take a feat, then you do not get the ability score improvement to put points into your abilities. So it's either or. But if you have maybe a Dungeon Master has a house rule to where you can get both, but that's just totally up to he or she. So that is the ability score improvement. Now next is level 5. You're going to get Destroy Undead. Now Destroy Undead is really nice, and I'm glad that they put this in for the baseline Cleric. So, when an undead fails its saving throw against your Turn Undead feature, the creature is instantly destroyed if its challenge rating is at or below a certain threshold as shown in the Destroy Undead table. So, if you're not familiar with what a CR is, that is a rating that every single creature has. You can go to the back of the Player's Handbook. There are some common animals, a couple undead for the necromancer. You can see that there is a CR, a challenge rating there. It's towards the top of the monster. Now, if at level 5, if you turn undead, they fail their saving throw. If they are a 1/2 CR or lower, it goes to 1/8 or also 0. Then it will destroy it. It will basically just evaporate. Divine damage will just overtake it and destroy it. Level 8, a challenge rating of 1 or lower. Level 11, challenge rating 2 or lower. Level 14, challenge rating 3 or lower. And level 17, challenge rating 4 or lower. So as you can see, the higher levels that you get, the more and the more powerful things of the undead you'll be able to destroy. So this could be a really cool RP, class feature to use, and that is Destroy Undead. Now, next, at level 10, you're going to get Divine Intervention, and this is where you call on your deity to intervene on your behalf when your need is great. Employing your deity's aid requires you to use your action. Describe the assistance you seek and roll percentile die. If you roll a number equal to or lower than your cleric level, your deity intervenes. The Dungeon Master chooses the nature of the intervention. The effect of any cleric spell or cleric domain spell would be appropriate. If your deity intervenes, you cannot use this feature again for 7 days. Otherwise, you can use it again after you finish a long rest if you get no response. Then, at 20th level, you call for intervention, succeeds automatically with no roll required. Wow, Divine Intervention is really nice. So it goes like this. If the party is dying around you, you could possibly ask for Divine Intervention. Now, when you roll, like it says, you have to roll a percentile dice. And if you roll the D100 and it equals your level or lower, then the dungeon master will intervene and he or she can make it fun. So this makes it as a last ditch oh crap thing, or this could be something for good role play also. And I'm sure that the dungeon master, if you get close enough to your role, I'm sure the dungeon master will probably intervene anyway. So just remember, if you are successful and you get to talk to your deity, then you cannot do it again for 7 days. But if you're not successful, you can divine intervention again after a long rest. And then just, wow, remember this, a level 20 automatically succeeds. You don't even have to roll. So, and then you can see you're going to get more cleric ability score improvements at 12, 16, and 19. So there you go, everybody. That is the baseline cleric broken down for you. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please feel free to leave a comment down below, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and check out my website at tabletopping.net, where if you need a character sheet for D&D 5e, I have over 840 character sheets of every level, every class, every archetype, 1 to 20, on a 3-page PDF format. You just download it and go to your game. You don't even have to hassle making a character. It's already done for you. So, thank you guys again, and I'll see you next time. Good rolling.